To the December 6th. I don't know what I have. I keep thinking it's November. December 6th, 2018, Lake County Sentinel Podcast. I think we have a pretty good show for you tonight. We're going to talk about the Indians today signing Carlos Carrasco to that new 4-year extension. That's great news for Tribe fans, that the Indians signed Carrasco to an extension. And, and what does it mean in the long run? With the team, going out on the limb and saying, look, we're going to sign him and we want him to play his entire career in Cleveland. So, but you can't do it. You can't do it without the player wanting to be part of it too. So I think it says, a lot for Carlos Carrasco. And we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how important it is to keep a player like Carlos Carrasco in Cleveland. So we also have, we're going to talk about some NFL fantasy football tonight and moves that might need to be made because of some of the things that have happened recently, with players getting in trouble off the field or injuries. There's a lot of different moves that that could be made, and I'll give some advice on what I would do. So there's that. You want to listen, you don't want to listen. It doesn't matter to me, but we'll talk about that a little bit. So and then we're gonna give our predictions for the Thursday night game tonight, which is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans at 8:20, the Thursday night NFL game. I think it should be a good game. I think it should be another game. The Thursday night games this year have been so much better than the games in the past where it seemed like one team was good and one team was terrible. And so it would be a blowout every week, be over in the first quarter, and there's really no reason to watch. So the NFL realized that they were going to continue to have Thursday night games. They better have better games than they had been having. They came to this new contract agreement with Fox this year to cover them, and I think the games for the most part have been pretty good. But so that's what we'll talk about in sports. When we go to the other side, to the news and politics, we're going to talk about the stock market myth that the Republicans are better for the stock market and better for the economy. Folks, if you really look into it, it's a myth. We'll talk about that in the political segment. But so now let's get going now, and let's talk about the Indians signing Carlos Carrasco today to a new 4-year contract extension, which is great. He's now signed through 2022 with a club option for 2023. And I'm under the impression, just from everything I've heard from people who cover the team, to just different reports and hearing Carrasco talk, he wants to be a Cleveland. You think about it, he's probably made more money than he's ever dreamed of, than he would have ever dreamed of. I think most Major League Baseball players who play for a long period of time have made more money than they ever dreamed of. So, he's made a lot of money. I mean, if you look up what he's made thus far in his career, to this date, he has made $23,636,500. That's a lot of money. Yeah, you have taxes and you have agents, but even after all of that, he's probably made 10 million. It's still a lot of money. And now he's got a contract for the next, 4 years with the Indians, maybe 5 if they pick up the option. So I think that's great. That he wanted to be here. The Indians wanted him. Let's not forget how he got here. Let's not forget how Carlos Carrasco got here. There's always this myth that the Dolans are cheap. Okay. Oh, they traded CC Sabathia. Oh, they traded Vic Martinez. Oh, they traded Cliff Lee. Oh my gosh. Who else has traded 2 Cy Young Award winners? Oh my gosh. Those cheap Dolans. They're so cheap trading these Cy Young Award winners. Trading these they trade every good player they have. Well, no, they don't. If there's an indication the player wants to stay, they'll sign them. And Carrasco is a perfect case. Carrasco was traded in the Cliff Lee trade. The Indians traded Ben Francisco and Cliff Lee for Jason Knapp, Carlos Carrasco, Jason Donald, and Lou Marson. Okay. Other than Carrasco, there was not a lot that was productive in that deal. But I believe that, it was a good deal. Carrasco's been here for 10 years now. He's pitched parts of 9 seasons for the Indians. Okay? Lou Marson was here for a little bit. He was the catcher. He wasn't that good. Jason Donald was not that good. He was utility infielder. I just remember being very glad when they traded him because I just really didn't think much of Jason Donald. But Jason Knapp, who also came in that deal, was a hard-throwing young guy. He was a hard-throwing right-hander out of New Jersey. When the Indians got him, he was 18 when the Indians got him, maybe 18. And, he got traded to the Indians, and he immediately had arm issues. He may have had arm issues when they traded him to the Indians. There was some speculation that, and he was gone. He was gone from the team out of the organization after 2010 because his arm was pretty much blown out, his shoulder. And it was a shame because, not only was Jason Knapp a nice young man, but wow, could he throw? Wow, could he pitch? Wow, was he a competitor? I covered him. He pitched for the Lake County Captains, a really nice young man. And that, wow, if he hadn't gotten injured, you would have had 2 hard-throwing starters for Cliff Lee. But unfortunately, in having nothing to do with the Dolans being cheap, Jason Knapp got injured. He did show up in 2014 in the Texas organization. He pitched 17 games for Myrtle Beach, and that was the end of his career. So he didn't work out, but the trade worked out because, look, the Indians have had Carlos Carrasco for the last 10 seasons. Okay? And he has been a very good pitcher for the Indians. Did it take him a while to become the very good pitcher that he is today? Yeah, it did. It took him about 5 years. 2015 was really his breakout season, but he's had really productive years since. Since 2015, Carlos Carrasco has 60 wins. 60 wins and 36 losses. That's really good. That's a really good winning percentage. He's gotten Cy Young votes in 2 different years, 2017 and 2015. You know, his ERAs are great. His whip is great every year. He's one of the higher guys on the team in WAR. You know, so Carlos Carrasco is a very valuable piece of the Indians. He's their number 2 right now because Kluber is still on the team. He hasn't been traded yet. I believe he's going to be traded, and I have no problem with Corey Kluber being traded. Absolutely no problem with Corey Kluber being traded. Absolutely none. And, you know, I hope that I think it'll be a good thing if Corey Kluber gets traded. And because it'll give another young guy a chance to pitch, and I think they can win the division without Corey Kluber. So I don't have a problem with that. So if he gets traded and they get something, they better get a lot for him if they trade him. But I don't have a problem with them trading Corey Kluber. We're going to be having predictions soon, NFL predictions. And since we've talked about the Indians for almost 12 minutes of the show, we talked a little longer than I wanted to about the Carrasco signing, but I think you can never talk too much about the Indians because no one else does in Cleveland. So I figured I might as well. But I'm going to talk for a minute or two, maybe a couple minutes here about fantasy football. I think people may be looking for a running back at this point. And I'll tell you what, if Philip Lindsay's available in your league, pick him up. But I would have to think he's probably not available. But that guy, I picked him up about, I'd say 8 weeks ago. And wow, has he paid dividends for me in the leagues I have him, especially in the leagues that I had him and I had Kareem Hunt. I now have Philip Lindsay, since the Willoughby South native likes to hit women and is no longer on an NFL team. So I have, I picked Philip Lindsay up and he's done a good job for me. So also receiver-wise, if you're looking for a receiver at this point, I know that, there have been some receiver injuries this week in practice. I'll tell you what, Adam Humphries of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a real good pickup. I have him in a couple leagues. Being a Bucs fan, I pay attention to him. But let me tell you something. This guy's good. And especially if you're in a league where you have kickoff and punt return yardage, that's what you want because he'll get you those. So that's some fantasy football advice. That's about all. Maybe we'll touch on some more fantasy sports tomorrow. We haven't done it as much lately. I would like to do it more. But that's it for that. And now we're going to go to the NFL predictions. We have the Thursday night game tonight where the Jacksonville Jaguars are at the Tennessee Titans. And it's time for Toppling Tim Predicts. And I'm going to make my NFL pick for this game. And I'm joined by my son, Tommy.
Hello.
Tommy bowls on the Wycliffe bowling team. They won again today. They're now 4-1. So that's a good thing. But now it's time for the pick. And I'm picking Jacksonville to go into Tennessee and at least cover the spot. They're getting 4 points. They're the road dog on turf in Tennessee. And I'm picking Jacksonville. I'm going with 3 points. I'm going to pick Jacksonville to cover the spot. I don't know if they'll win, but I would say they'll cover the spot.
Tennessee with 1 point.
1 point. Okay. So this could be a close game, you think, too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for the NFL predictions for tonight. Tommy will join me again on Sunday at 12:15 for the rest of the week's picks. And we'll go over The disastrous week was last week with our picks. We were both terrible. So we'll talk about that on Sunday. Right now, after the break, we're going to talk politics. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the second half of the Lake County Sentinel Podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about some politics tonight. Well, politics, economy, myths of who helps our economy and who doesn't help our economy. And the myth has always been that the GOP is better for our economy. That simply, people, that simply is not true. It is simply not the truth. It's not the truth. I've got several examples for you tonight here. And, you know, I think that they're very good examples. So here we go with some examples. I've got a chart here in front of me. And I think this chart says it all. It says it all. There have been 9, 12, 13 now with Trump. 13 presidents since the Standard & Poor's 500 performance, the stock market, has been, you know, since 1945. Okay? Since Harry S. Truman. 13 presidents. We've had two presidents, where the stock market has gone into negative territory. Negative. They've gone down. The economy has tanked. The economy has fallen apart. Under two presidents. Both Republican. Richard Nixon, the stock market lost 5.1% annually with Richard Nixon as president. George W. Bush, the stock market lost 4.6% with him as president. I will give credit to Gerald Ford. In his time as president, his 29 months in the Oval Office, his annual increase was 18.6%. But the other two highest percentages in the 12 presidents from Truman through Obama, the highest two percentage-wise were William Jefferson Clinton, our 42nd president, 14.9% increase in the stock market annually. Barack Obama, yeah, how about that? Barack Obama, 12% increase annually during his administration. 12.0% annually, the stock market increased under Barack Obama. When the stock market opened on January 20th, 2009, it was in a free fall. It was at 7,949. In the same period of time as Trump has been president, in that same period of time for Obama, the stock market increased. The stock market increased nearly 4,000 points, 3,470 points in Barack Obama's first 23 months in office. Okay? 3,471 points. All right? That's how much it increased. Okay? It has increased 5,120 in Trump's first 23 months. It's a lower percentage increase, but a higher increase if you just look at straight numbers. Okay? But not by a lot. Not by a lot. And has it increased this year? Not much at all. It hasn't increased. But you still have Trump and his supporters acting like the stock market is going through the roof under Trump's guidance. It's a complete and total myth. It's not the truth. Why do the American people keep believing that the Republicans are better for the economy when they are not? They are not. Okay? George H.W. Bush, who was just buried today in College Station, a great man, he had a good economic record, but the Republicans voted him out. He lost because the Republicans turned on him because he agreed with the Democrats on a tax increase. But the economy was going well. The economy was going well. The economy improved. The stock market improved more. Believe it or not, listen to these numbers. These are the truth. The economy improved more under Dwight Eisenhower, Gerald Ford, George H.W. Bush, William Jefferson Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama. It increased more under all of those guys than under Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan is right in the middle as far as these presidents go. He really isn't anything special. He's not. I mean, you look at the presidents who were ahead of Ronald Reagan. Eisenhower. He's a Republican, yeah, and so is Ford. But Clinton and Obama were ahead of Ronald Reagan. Okay? So don't give me this. The Republicans are better for the economy, because they're not. They're not. The economy was not great under Kennedy. It didn't increase a lot under Kennedy. It didn't increase a lot under Lyndon Baines Johnson. But I'll tell you something. It fell apart under Richard Nixon. It fell apart under George W. Bush. In the words of the late John McCain, our economy cratered under George W. Bush. Okay? It cratered. Barack Obama came in and saved our economy. And what did he get for it? He got lies on the GOP side, and people believed every bit of it. That the Democrats are bad for the economy. The Democrats want you to pay more taxes, and they want to give things away free. Such blatant lies. Just blatant lies. If you ever want to contact the show, you can contact us on Twitter at LCSentinelCom or Sentinel Sports on Twitter, or you could look us up on Facebook at Lake County Sentinel, or you could check out our website, www.lakecountysentinel.com, and that's Sentinel, SENTINEL.com. You can check us out on there. But let's just be honest about this. We know the truth. We know that the economy does not always get better under Republicans. It may help big businesses, but it doesn't help the everyday guy. But I mean, the stock market's a great example. The last three presidents before Trump, two of the three, it went up double digits. One, it went down minus 4.6%. The two that went up were Democrats. The one that went down was a Republican. So don't give me this. The Republicans are better for the economy, because they're not. It's false. It's false. And the fact that people believe this, they don't want to know the facts. They just want to. They say that, the news media. Well, where are you getting your information? Fox News? Those shouldn't even be considered. Those shouldn't even be. They shouldn't even be considered a real news source, because they're so biased. It's unbelievable. Let me tell you something. I looked at this chart about the economy, and I saw the truth. But you know what the thing was? Is I knew the truth before I saw this chart, because I had looked at numbers before. Don't be fooled by the Republican rhetoric. They use fear tactics. They use fear tactics all the time. That's all they do. I think what you need to do is you need to actually look at charts and graphs, and then you could see where things are. Don't read an opinion. Find a graph. Find a graph or a chart that tells you how things are going, and make the decision yourself. Do I like this chart that I'm seeing? Do I like what I see on this chart that says, wow, our stock market is doing about the same under Trump as it did under Obama? Yes, the first year under Trump, it went up a lot, but this year it stayed about the same. It has not gone up at all. Don't believe the myth that it's still skyrocketing under Trump. It's not. It is not. Okay? It really isn't. I mean, it's absolutely the truth. And for you to not believe that it has gone up a lot this year, we have the numbers. We have the numbers. So we're going to look here. We're going to look. The stock market closed today at 24,947. All right? It did. It closed at 24,947. Okay? You know what it opened up at? On January 2nd? It opened up at 24,824. The stock market has only gone up 123 points this year. 123 points. That's all it's gone up this year, okay? 123 points. And there's still, what? There's still a month left. it could finish in the negative this year. It could. But are you still going to believe his lies that it's continually going up? Absolutely, you will. Because that's what Trump supporters do. They believe anything he tells you. We've run out of time. Actually, we've gone over time a little tonight. But we'll see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for our Friday podcast. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Indians and the moves that have been made. We'll talk a little bit about fantasy sports. I think we'll have Fantasy Sports Friday. And then we'll talk a little bit about some news and politics. Until tomorrow, have a good night, everybody.